To help the pupils organise their time, I punctuate the lesson with brief reminders of the task. In this way, I help pupils to stay focused without distracting them. This often prompts questions from pupils who are struggling a bit and helps me identify those who need my help. I keep a sense of perspective by dealing with individual pupils' misbehaviour discreetly. After all, it's the learning that's important. If I need to follow it up later, I will.
Okay? 8 PT? Good work so far. You've got 5 minutes more. Remember, you're looking at shapes with right angles in them. I'll be asking Anita and Sally to feed back, and we'll be looking at what you've all found out. Jason, I heard that. No. Jason let himself down a bit today. He'd done well in the class up until then. I could have ignored it, but I felt that I needed to let him know that he had overstepped the mark. I think he took it well.
After a period of independent working, Kath stopped the class briefly to review progress on the task. She did this in a quick and efficient way. She walked purposefully to the front of the room, which attracted the attention of the class, warned pupils that there were 5 more minutes left to complete the task, and recapped their lesson objectives.
Good work so far. You've got 5 minutes more. Remember, you're looking at shapes with right angles in them. I'll be asking Anita and Sally to feed back, and we'll be looking at what you've all found out.
She reminded Sally and Anita that they would be feeding back to the class so that they could prepare, and reminded the rest of the class that they too would be asked to contribute to the plenary. This maintained pupils' concentration and helped them to think about what they had learned from this lesson. Pupils appeared to be familiar with this approach to the plenary.
Remember, you're looking at
When Kath asked Sally and Anita to feed back, there was a brief interchange between them, as Anita checked that Sally was happy with what they were about to say. Kath noticed this, and it prompted her to double-check with Sally that she felt comfortable to do what she had been asked. Jason's frustration that his pen was not working led him to swear under his breath. Ryan's expression indicated that the class were well aware that Kath considers swearing to be unacceptable. She handled this situation firmly and sensitively by moving towards Jason and making a clear statement.
Jason, I heard that. No.
Immediately afterwards, Kath walked away and continued her teaching, allowing Jason to save face in front of his peers. Jason responded well to this intervention. He looked sorry that he had disappointed Kath. The class continued to concentrate on their learning after a momentary pause to check out Kath's response to Jason's behaviour.
Okay? 8 PT? Good work so far. You've got 5 minutes more. Remember, you're looking at shapes with right angles in them. I'll be asking Anita and Sally to feed back.
Kath is keen to ensure that all pupils feel fully involved in her lesson. Asking Anita and Sally to feed back was a good way to check on Sally's learning, particularly as she arrived late to the lesson. But Kath also thought to check with Sally that she was comfortable to present to the class. Kath knows that Sally has been having a troubled time and doesn't want to put her under any unnecessary pressure. Sally will have greatly appreciated Kath taking care like that. We are keen to encourage pupils to support each other in their learning and continue to explore ways of developing pupil participation across school. For example, Jill, our learning mentor, has developed the peer mentoring programme. Some of our Year 8 pupils, like Ryan, are being supported through this. Kath has worked to build a strong relationship with Jason. She likes him and recognises that he sometimes underachieves in maths. Jason responds well to her in return. Kath knows from experience that acting in the heat of the moment can lead to confrontation. Jason is sometimes sent out of other lessons when low-level incidents are not managed well. In this case, Jason accepts Kath's reprimand for his swearing. He knows he made a mistake and that Kath dealt with it fairly. He usually apologises after an incident like this and is genuinely sorry.
Jason, I heard that. No.
He doesn't like his parents to be upset by bad news from school. Kath rarely has to follow up incidents like this outside the classroom, and confrontation does not often occur in her lessons. Staff are becoming increasingly aware of and skilled in managing low-level incidents, and as a result, the school is becoming a calmer place. Incidents are contained that once might have become out of control, or even have resulted in exclusion.
There's been a lot of discussion in the staff room lately about pupils' bad language. Some staff are outraged by the things that pupils say. Some shrug and take the attitude, "What do you expect from kids?" While others really don't see what all the fuss is about. Staff have different tolerance levels to the way pupils speak and the language they use. Some can become upset or angry if they feel pupils are not being respectful, but actually it's much more complex than that. Some pupils are skilled in moderating their language for different social and educational settings, but others aren't. If pupils bring street language into the classroom, this can be a potential source of conflict with staff. Concerns about pupils' language go beyond issues of using bad language. For example, where pupils have an impoverished vocabulary and poor communication skills, they will experience difficulty in accessing language-based teaching. One of the issues that staff often raise is how we should respond to swearing. It seems to me that the intention behind the swearing should provide one clue to our response. Another consideration is how the teacher's response might impact upon learning and the smooth flow of the lesson. In this situation, Jason's feelings overcame his thinking. He was frustrated and he used language that he might more commonly use outside school. But it was not intended as a challenge to the teacher, and sometimes staff will choose to ignore this type of swearing.
I heard that.
Often this can be the best thing to do. But staff may be concerned that if this kind of behaviour is ignored, pupils will think it is acceptable. Expectation will be lowered and bad language will increase. Kath chose to make it clear not only to Jason, but to the class, that swearing was not appropriate in her lessons. However, she did it quietly and firmly without embarrassing Jason or risking confrontation. Both Kath and Jason came out of the situation with their relationship intact. When swearing is deliberate, aggressive and focused directly at staff, then they must challenge the behaviour. This is done most effectively with a clear and firm statement of disapproval. The message should contain the following elements. Swearing is not acceptable in this classroom. We treat each other with respect, and I don't speak to you in that way. After an incident such as this, it is useful to move away, as Kath did, so that the pupil can save face in front of peers and any confrontation is diffused.